podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Now entering the PNRNetworks arena, coming down the aisle from Revere, Massachusetts, weighing in at absolutely none of your business. It's the Mistress of Mayhem, the Queen of Quips. It's time for Ring Around the Rosie with your hostess, Kim Brown.
Hey everybody, welcome to another week here on Ring Around the Rosie. I am your host, Kim Brown, aka Platinum Rose Lady, coming to you on August 14th, 2019, and I hope everybody's having a terrific week. My week's been going pretty good. And let's just jump right into what you all came here to talk about, and that is SummerSlam 2019, the 32nd SummerSlam. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. SummerSlam was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. Coming from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, at the Scotiabank Arena, because apparently Canada has jumped on that whole let's name arenas after businesses bandwagon, which I don't know about everybody else, but I personally hate. I also want to bring up the fact that I enjoyed watching SummerSlam. I really hated listening to it. I'm sorry, I can't stand Corey Graves anymore. He is officially, in my opinion, crossed that line into X-Pac heat. It's gone beyond boo, you suck, we hate you. It's gone into boo, you suck, we hate you. And every time you talk, I smash the mute button or I change the channel or something. I can't fucking stand him anymore. And I really, 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 really wish someone would just fucking smack him in the mouth. I really, really do, storyline-wise. So, let's get to the pre-show to get things started. Pre-show was, there were 3 matches on the pre-show, including WWE Cruiserweight Champion Drew Gulak going against Oney Lorcan. Good match with Gulak retaining his belt after performing a Cyclone Crash. Next up was Apollo Crews going against Buddy Murphy. Now, Buddy Murphy has gotten himself into a spot of trouble because he was confronted by Roman Reigns because Roman felt he was somehow involved in the mysterious accidents that seemed to be plaguing Roman, which really upset me because goodness knows there aren't enough sweet pieces of ass out there that someone's actively trying to murder one of them, and that bothers me. Buddy Murphy, when confronted by Roman, pointed the finger at Eric Rowan as being the person behind all of these things happening to Roman. The match went on between the two of them, very physical match. The match actually wound up being won by Buddy Murphy via disqualification. The reason why is because Eric Rowan came down to the ring and attacked Buddy Murphy. Because of that, that was viewed as helping out Apollo Crews, so Buddy won by DQ. I don't really think he felt like he was winning, though, because Eric Rowan proceeded to beat the living fucking shit out of him. And, you know, the thing that I thought was really interesting was I could hear someone in the crowd yell, "Snitches get stitches." I'm sorry, I didn't realize that phrase had made it up into Canada. You learn something new every day, I guess. I don't know. You know, it's really funny because, you know, you have this whole thing going on with Roman, which is definitely not funny. And it's like, who would you think of to do something like that? Let's point out the big scary man that looks like he's part of some kind of end of the world cult, whether or not we know it's him or not. But let's get on his shit list. That seems that. Oh, buddy, you're not very bright, are you? After that, we were treated, I'm sorry, did I say subjected? Oh, my Freudian slip is showing. Let's tuck that back in. To a performance by Elias, singing a song about Toronto, insulting the Toronto sports teams, which seems like a very stupid thing to do in Canada, because for all of the talk that everybody always talks about how Canada, the people of Canada are so polite and all that stuff like that, they riot very easily. I mean, they riot when they lose sporting events, they riot when they win sporting events, they riot when Guns N' Roses cancels a concert. I mean, granted, that was Vancouver, I think, but I was just sitting there when he's talking and slagging on the Blue Jays and, the Maple Leafs, and I'm just like, oh boy, they're not gonna like that. But as it turned out, someone who didn't like it and was actually someone who could do something about it made their presence known when Hall of Famer and all-around cool guy Edge showed up and speared Elias almost out of his boots. So now what do we say? Thank you, Edge. You gotta say thank you, Edge, for growing your hair out. You looked amazing with the short hair, but you look better with long hair. I'm sorry, I have a thing about long hair. I'm a woman, I have needs, don't judge me. The final pre-show match was a match between the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions from Raw, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I love Nikki. Alexa, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. Going against the Iconics, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, who came out. One of them came out wearing a pair of horns that looked extremely like Maleficent, which was brought up by the announcing crew, to which Corey Graves started running down Disney because Alexa was wearing a costume that was rather like Buzz Lightyear. So that caused Corey Graves to go on an old man, hey, you kids get off my lawn, rant about Disney. So Corey Graves hates Disney. Wow, isn't that shocking? Corey Graves hates something that brings beauty and joy and fun and laughter, and is, I'm so surprised at that. Fuck you, Graves. The thing that I thought was really interesting was the question the Iconics asked about what would SummerSlam be without the Iconics? Less shrill? I think less shrill. I think that would be one thing. So there would be a lot less headaches. The end of the match saw Alexa perform the Twisted Bliss on Peyton Royce, and Alexa and Nikki retain the belts. So I suppose that's a good thing. We also saw the whole Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins thing where Brock Lesnar is portrayed as this unstoppable beast and all this other shit. Brock Lesnar is a coward. Brock Lesnar is a bully. And Brock Lesnar is also a person that likes to go out and shoot small, defenseless woodland creatures. I mean, he likes to hunt, and I just had to come up with something else about him I didn't like, so that was it. But he is a bully and just an all-around shit. So, there's that. So, we begin with the actual card, with all the, pre-match stuff. And I'm sorry, we're showing all this stuff of this other personality, or I don't know what the fuck you'd call it, that Bray Wyatt's got going, The Fiend. Not for nothing, but I'm looking at this character and I'm going to myself, why is Finn Balor fighting this guy? Because I'm sorry, I'm looking at this character and I'm going, you guys really need to call Sam and Dean Winchester, because that just don't look right. The first match of the evening was, before I get there, I do want to bring up, they did a quick pan of the crowd, so the person in the Bret Hart cosplay, how you doing? Bret was also there in a backstage segment, which I was really like, wow. That one blew my mind. That one blew my mind, seeing Bret actually there. I figured that after what happened where Bret appeared for All Elite Wrestling, I figured that bridge got blown up, but apparently not. There was Bret, looking great. Looking awesome as always, Bret. So, the first match of the evening was for the Raw Women's Championship with the champion, Becky Lynch. Do we call her Becky One Belt now? It's a perfectly fair question. Going against Natalya. And it was a submission match. So you had Becky with the Disarm Her and also, and Natalya with the Sharpshooter. Now, nobody asked me, but I kind of think that a hold that can keep you from standing up is more dangerous than an arm hold. Like I said, if anyone was to ask my opinion, which I know they're not, yes, I'm still quoting Lord of the Rings. Yes, I'm still a geek. There was just, I have my notes here and they're talking, Corey Graves is blathering about home field advantage and how Natalya really doesn't have it that much. And I'm like, well, you wouldn't know about that, would you? Because we all from America hate you. So, there's that. Natalya comes down to the ring wearing her cat ears and holding a Canadian flag. That's a look. Just a thing I'd like to throw out there to Renee Young. At some point this year, if you would just bitch slap Corey Graves, I promise I will name my very first houseplant after you. Lots of Becky chants. I'm like, okay. So it's, Canada. Again, they gotta be different. And that's great. Nothing wrong with that. This was nasty. There were a lot of just, oh man, so many slaps in this one. Just real hard slaps to the face and such. There were a couple of points where I'm going, less talking, more punching, Natty, come on. The Let's Go Becky chant didn't last very long. We got dueling chants for a little bit. There was a person in the crowd with a Owen Hart HOF Hall of Fame 2020 sign. Sir, whomever you are, you have your heart, pardon the obvious poor choice of words, is in the right place, and you're a very nice person to say that. But I don't know if that's going to happen. It's very unlikely unless Martha changes her mind. But anything's possible, I suppose. Becky eventually applied the disarmer to Natalya, and Natalya wound up tapping out. So winner and still Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. Which, I have to be honest, really surprised me. Following that was a backstage interview with Trish Stratus, who has a match tonight with Charlotte Flair, which Trish has announced, win, lose, or draw, will be her last match. Which makes me sad, but, as long as she's here now, that's the most important thing. So next was Dolph Ziggler going against Bill Goldberg. Now, this all came about because Dolph Ziggler has been flapping his yap for the last couple of weeks and finally wound up with his mouth writing a check that his ass can't cash. And we have Goldberg come out to the ring, in his usual entrance with all the fireworks and all that and the pyro. I've always wondered if Bill Goldberg's entrance was an inspiration for the way they introduced Castiel on Supernatural in the episode that he first appeared in, which was the first episode of season 4, Lazarus Rising. If you go back and look it up on YouTube and you go, I never thought about it before until I was watching Goldberg's entrance, and I'm going, I wonder if that's where the writers of Supernatural kind of got the idea with the whole being completely neutral when there's all sparks raining down on you. I don't know. I just something that, I thought about. Goldberg winds up winning with a jackhammer, spear followed by a jackhammer, and this was short. Oh, was this short? Under 2 minutes short. And I don't know how. I was kind of like, when the spear happened first, I'm like, if anybody can pick up Dolph's pancreas, it should be somewhere out in the 5th row. So it's done, and Bill's not being paid by the hour, so he gets out of the ring and starts heading up to the back. Dolph gets on the mic, and I don't even know how he was able to speak, starts shooting off his mouth about Goldberg and saying that he hit like a baby and all this other stuff like that. So Goldberg came back down to the ring and speared him and went to leave. Dolph got on the mic again, and Goldberg, to the surprise of absolutely nobody, speared Ziggler again and somehow did not break his back. And I'm just like, Odin's beard, Dolph, please just lay down and don't talk anymore. It's like, what the hell, dude? I can't tell if you're brave or trying to kill yourself. What is your issue? We had a New Day segment in the back. Xavier Woods with the beaded hair look again, the cornrows with the beads and all. I was like, okay, has that come back? I didn't know that was back. Also, Drake Maverick was in the segment, and we're not going to talk about that. So now we've got this, they're talking about the match that's coming up with Kofi, who they're referring to as the Black Mamba, going against Randy Orton, the Viper. And I'm thinking to myself, I thought a Black Mamba was a Viper, but apparently not. There are two different kinds of snakes. I was like, okay. And so then we had some 24/7 title lunacy. The less said about that, the better. Following that was the U.S. Championship match with AJ Styles, who had to come out to the ring with his fellow bitches, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, going against Ricochet. I love Ricochet's outfit. Oh my gosh, I loved this outfit. It was so Black Panther. I completely loved it. I loved this outfit. I wish I could say I loved the match as much. I mean, I did. Don't get me wrong. I did love, it was a high-flying match. Lots of great stuff from both guys. But of course, because AJ's the heel, he has to cheat because this is the WWE and that's the way they do shit. AJ winds up winning and, after using the Styles Clash and then a pinfall, AJ is still the United States champion. Ricochet is assaulted after the match by the OC, what they call now the OC, because they can't call them the Bullet Club. Apparently, OC now stands for, I don't know, odious chump stains. I don't know. I mean, it stands for a couple of other things, but one of the words I was going to use, I'm not going to use because my husband will get mad at me, because he's like, you're a lady. Ladies shouldn't talk like that. We had a segment following that with the Street Profits in the back and Ric Flair, which I was like, oh, okay, this, alright, Flair is always on. That's the amazing thing, is Flair is just always so on. Following this was the SmackDown Women's Championship match with the champion Bayley going against Ember Moon. Ember, who I love, I have a serious girl crush on Ember, I admit it. She had kind of like a Caecilius look from Doctor Strange. You all remember Mads Mikkelsen as Caecilius, the bad guy from Doctor Strange with the dark makeup around her eyes. That's what it reminded me of. I was like, oh, okay, that's a look. Not entirely sure how I feel about it, but, whatever. My husband, who I adore, I would like to bring that up. He's a very lovely human being and puts up with my bullshit, so... he has his own name for the Bailey buddies, the little wavy arm people. He calls them Bailey's Flailies. To rip off a line from Vincent Price in The House on Haunted Hill and to change it about a bit when talking about my husband, he's so amusing. This was a terrific match, won by Bailey, performing a Bailey to belly on Amber, from the top rope, which was extremely impressive and scared the fuck out of me, with Bayley winning the title. Keeping the title, I should say. Following this was the Kevin Owens Shane McMahon match, where if Kevin lost, he would have to quit the WWE. As all of this was going on, this match, before the match even started, Shane brought out Elias, saying he was a special guest enforcer. What the fuck ever. Now, this was the thing that really bothered me, was the simple fact that I couldn't fucking pay attention to this match because all I could hear was all I could hear during the Kevin Owens Shane McMahon match was Corey Graves kissing Shane McMahon's ass and sucking Shane McMahon's dick. It just would not stop. I get that you're a heel announcer. You're supposed to pop for the heels. But good grief, Corey, you sound like a fucking stalker. I mean, shit. You know, it's like crying out loud. We get it. You support the bad guys, for fuck's sake. Owens wound up hitting Shane with a low blow. To be perfectly honest, I'm surprised there's anything down there to hit. And then hit him with a stunner. And you would have the way that Corey Graves was carrying on, you would have thought that Kevin Owens had pulled out a lightsaber and you know, decapitated Shane McMahon. I left the silence in there because I'm trying to think of why that would be a bad thing. Storyline-wise, y'all know I don't want anything bad to happen to Shane for real. But I'm sorry. Fuck me. This is just getting ridiculous. It just, seriously, it's like, Corey, shut the fuck up. I really wish Owens had come out and, like, just spit in Corey's face or something. That would have just made my day. It's, you know, the one remark that Corey made that had me screaming this at the TV, when he was complaining, when he was saying, like, you know, oh, basically Shane can do what he wants and there's nothing we can do about it. No, actually, Corey, there is something we can do about it. We can go over and watch AEW in September, and trust me, I'm gonna fucking do that. Trust and believe I'm gonna do that. We had some more backstage stuff and some more things about the whole Roman Reigns storyline, this whole thing where, like I mentioned, somebody's trying to murder Roman, which is obviously not a good thing. Following that was the Charlotte Flair versus Trish Stratus match. Terrific match. Really, really amazing. The one thing that I would not... This was where I was like, okay, I have officially hit my fucking limit with you. When Corey Graves is talking about all these other great sports figures and stuff like that and decides to bring up Ted Williams, I'm like, you know what? This may come as a shock to you, you fucking fuck clown, but Ted Williams died in 2002, and also, you wouldn't be worthy to carry his bags. So, fuck off. The match wound up being won by Charlotte, who had Trish in the figure 8 leg lock for quite a bit before Trish finally submitted. And, excuse me, once the match was done, once the match was done, Trish was given a standing ovation by the crowd. Also, during the match, I should say, the crowd started singing the Canadian national anthem, which Corey also had a problem with. I'm like, okay, so you have a problem with the Canadian national anthem? Why don't you step to a Canadian and say that? See what the fuck happens. My whole thing with the crowd, though, with this match, I really couldn't tell if the crowd was really into it or just dead, because it got really, really quiet. Following that was the WWE World Championship match with WWE Champion Kofi Kingston going against Randy Orton. And they're playing this whole storyline that Randy held Kofi down and all this stuff like that. I'm like, okay. We had some dueling chants during the match with Kofi stupid, Randy sucks, and I'm just like, okay, that's the best y'all got for insulting Kofi, is that he's stupid because Randy said he was stupid in one match? Really? That's the best you can do? Okay. The mistake came when they were outside because they were over on the side of the ring where Kofi and Kofi's family were, and Randy had to decide to be a big badass and basically get in the face of Kofi's kids, which lit a fire under Kofi Kingston, which I think would have lit the fire under most people who are dads, and he proceeded to beat the living shit out of Randy Orton, who completely had it coming, and it was a double countout. And boy, did the crowd not like that. And to be honest, I didn't like it. I felt it was a cop-out. I felt it made Kofi look weak. I felt it really didn't do anything for Kofi, and it didn't do anything for Randy either, to be perfectly honest. Next was Finn Balor versus The Fiend. Finn came out first. I did kind of hope it was going to be the Demon. And I know that all my Supernatural fans out there that are also Supernatural fans like me are going, you said you wanted a demon to come out. What the fuck is your problem? But Finn's a special demon. I did like the all-white look. The white trunks, the white boots, the white jacket. He looked delish. And then we get The Fiend. And in the darkness, it first looked like my husband's like, what's the deal with his head? And I was like, that's not his head. It took me a second, and I was like, what the fuck? It was Bray Wyatt's head being used as a lantern with the wide open mouth as where the light was coming out. And I was like, this is fucking nightmare fuel is what this is. Oh man, that was one of the freakiest entrances ever. It was scary as shit. And I gotta say, Finn looked terrified. Finn, honest to blog, looked like, what the fuck am I getting myself into? He really looked scared. That was some nice ring work by him. My big problem was, for the first couple of minutes of the match, I felt like we were watching WCW Nitro, not with the quality of the wrestling, just the simple fact that I couldn't see what the fuck was going on for all the fucking smoke. It was like, oh great, we're back to wrestling in a bong again. That's what we always used to call the opening matches of like Thunder and Nitro and all that stuff, because it'd be all the pyro and stuff, and you couldn't see shit, so we were always referring to it as wrestling in a bong. I know, we're very mature in our household. Very nasty physical match. The Fiend wound up doing a counter to Finn's coup de grace and turning that into the mandible claw, which apparently is going to be his finisher now, which he used on Finn until Finn passed out and he was able to be pinned. The whole thing of when the match is over, the lights went out and you hear the Fiend laughing and the lights come back up and he's gone. And Finn just he really looked like he had just been in there and been face to face with the devil. It was really, really well done. And it was scary. It was scary as fuck. And I know some people out there, are like, oh, there's too much showmanship, too much show, and all that stuff like that. My whole thing is there have always been weird characters in wrestling. That's what makes wrestling so interesting. All the way back in the day when you had the Moondogs out there on leashes with bones in their hands and stuff like that. And you had the Undertaker back when he was, this kind of undead figure, and then for a while where he sounded like he was just sound and dressed like he'd stepped out of a D&D campaign or something like that. And that's not a slam, because I still D&D. I still love D&D. I think I like where they're going with The Fiend. I think it's a really interesting character. I think the mask is fucking horrifying. I mean, really I don't know where they got this mask or who they got to work on it for them, but I mean, my gosh, that thing is scary. And I don't know how Bray Wyatt can wrestle in that thing. Besides the fact that it must be difficult to breathe, he's got those freaky contacts in, and I'm like, wow, that's really, talk about suffering for your art. I mean, sheesh. Now we come to the main event of the show, which is the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar going against former champion Seth Rollins. I would like to ask one question. How can Brock Lesnar be the Universal Champion if this belt is only defended on one planet? It's a completely rational question. I know you're all going, she's on drugs, but it's a completely rational question. We knew this was going to be physical. It was extremely physical. During the match, we had to pour one out for the Spanish announce table because Seth did a frog splash from the ring onto Brock. And This was really physical. Curve stomp after curve stomp. Lesnar tried and did one F5, tried to do another one. Rollins wound up countering it. Super kick, another curve stomp, pinfall. Seth Rollins is now the new Universal Champion. Fuck you, Lesnar. Fuck you. I'm sorry. I realize that's very, very unkind. I just don't like the man. I don't like him at all. The next night on Raw, we had, continuations of things. We're obviously going to start this feud up between Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. Also, things continued to not go so well for Kevin Owens on SmackDown, where Shane McMahon fined him something like $100,000. Why don't you just fine him like $1 million and have him wrestle with an anchor tied around his balls, Shane? Gutless prick. SummerSlam, I have to be really honest, I enjoyed a lot. The one match that I was really, there were things that there were times and there were a few people that I really would have liked it if Ember Moon won. It would have made me happy simply because I mark out for her a lot. I would have been really thrilled with Trish Stratus winning her last match simply because she deserved it. But I know how they work in the WWE, and I was pretty sure that wasn't going to happen. But the Kofi Orton match, I don't know, man. It just left a really sour taste in my mouth. Nobody came out looking good in that. I really don't think they did. But grade-wise, I would definitely give SummerSlam an A-. Very positive A-. I'd love to know your opinions. If you want to send them to me, I would definitely, platinumroselle@yahoo.com. Just send them along to me, and I'll read them on the air if you'd like. You can check out our webpage to check out all of the other shows that we have on the interwebs and that are in our little family of PNR networks. We've got lots of other fun shows out there to listen to. You can follow me on Twitter if you'd like, platinumroselle@twitter.com. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to all of our shows. And I guess that's going to do it for this week as I ride off into the sunset. And this is Kim Brown for another week here on Ring Around the Rosie. And I'll check you out next week. Bye now.
You have been listening to Ring Around the Rosie with Kim Brown, a production of PNR Networks. Keep in touch with all things about the show at http://ringaroundtherosie.net. Ring Around the Rosie intro performed by Eric Lyon. Ring Around the Rosie theme by Digital Juice. Join Kim for a new Ring Around the Rosie every Wednesday. Ring Around the Rosie is copyright 2018 PNR Networks, Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.